President Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to shelve planned nationwide protests. Federal government resumes mass trial of terrorism suspects. Internet fraudsters back jail terms in Kaduna. On the foreign scene, Sierra Leone court finds 11 persons guilty in alleged coup. Hello and welcome to Trust TV's news update. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. Thanks for joining us now. President Bola Tinubu has appealed to Nigerians, especially those planning to roll out protests in the following days, to shelve those plans in the country's interest. Minister of Information Muhammad Idris shared the president's plea with newsmen at State House Abuja after meeting with him in his office on Tuesday. Kehinde Amodu tells us more.
The uppermost topic on the lips of most Nigerians has been the hunger in the land and how prices of things they used to take for granted have skyrocketed. Security agencies initially did not pay heed to the murmurings in the background, hoping that by ignoring them or downplaying them, the plans of a protest will go away. Now the highest office in the land is acknowledging that indeed some people are planning protests.
Mr. President does not see any need for that. He's asked them to shelve that plan. He's asked them to await government's response to all their pleas. He has listened to them, like I said, and a lot is happening. Only today, the National Assembly has expeditiously passed the new national minimum wage. You can see how the president is working. It was transmitted only yesterday. Today it has been passed. A lot of other interventions that the president has also put in place are also going to be looked at expeditiously in the interest of Nigeria. So there's no need for strike. The young people out there should listen to the president and allow the president more time to see to the realization of all the goodies he has for them.
It is ironic how the planning of the protests is being zeroed down to young people. They are being assured that the president is taking their views seriously. The minister is going one step further to reveal plans that the president has for the country, which he says will be executed expeditiously.
The federal government approved grains for and rice for state governments. It was delivered to them expeditiously also. The federal government is not, like I said that the other time, that it is not the necessary first step. Government is going to continue in that direction, supporting them and ensuring that whatever intervention that the federal government has put in place go to those that should benefit. It is very important that that is being put out. Federal government is looking at strategies to ensure that every intervention goes directly to those who benefit from those interventions, not middlemen.
The whole idea being pushed by the government spokesman is that the Tinubu government is all-inclusive and no one will be left behind. It remains to be seen if the planners of the protest will be convinced that this inclusiveness will benefit all classes of Nigerians. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Now, the Green Chamber has called for the suspension of the Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority, NMDPRA, pending a thorough investigation into allegations against the authority. This decision followed the motion of urgent public importance presented by Esosa Iyawe, who expressed concern about the impact of high sulfur content in fuels on engine hardware and the environment. Iyawe highlighted the risk associated with sulfur, including damage to engines, air pollution, and negative health effects such as respiratory problems and cancer. He noted that governments worldwide have established standards to reduce sulfur emissions, and diesel producers are expected to adhere to these regulations.
Mr. Speaker, the House is concerned that allegations have been made by NMDPRA were giving licenses to some traders who regularly import high sulfur content diesel into Nigeria, and the use of such products poses grave health risk to financial loss to Nigerians. The House is also concerned that the unguarded statement by the Chief Executive of this agency, which has since been disapproved, sparks an outrage of Nigerians who tagged his own Demley and local refineries as insistence on the continued importation of fuel, an act of economic sabotage, as the imported products have been shown to contain high levels of dangerous compounds. Mr. Speaker, the House resolves to call the federal government to suspend the chief executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority pending conclusive investigations into the allegations against the authority.
Still staying with the lower chamber, it has urged the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) and distribution companies DISCOs to immediately revert to the old electricity tariff for Band A customers, following the adoption of a report by the House Committee on Power. The House recommended a reversal of the recent tariff hike, citing the unaffordability of the new rate for Nigerians. The Committee on Power's chairman, Victor Nwokolo, presented the report highlighting the unaffordability of the new tariff for Nigerians.
The report has been fully widely circulated among members. The findings of the joint committees is that the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission should reverse to the status quo as earlier contained in the motion of the House when it was considered, and that within 60 days they should comply with the provisions of section 116 2D 3B of the Electricity Act, that an independent team of experts to be contracted by joint committees to carry out forensic investigation of what should be the actual cost of electricity tariff. 3, that all electricity distribution companies should reverse to the old tariff pending the resolution of the matter by the House.
Security matters. The National Counter-Terrorism Center Office of the National Security Advisor said on Wednesday that the government has resumed mass trials of terrorism suspects in the country. In a statement on Wednesday by the head of strategic communication, NCTC ONSA Abu Michael, said the trial would be conducted in line with the international criminal justice system. Michael stated that at least 300 suspects are on trial, with 5 judges presiding over the 5 courts and chambers established for the swift administration of justice. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN stated in December of 2023 that the federal government secured 366 convictions in the trial of Boko Haram terrorists conducted in 2017. In addition, he said 896 suspects were discharged for lack of evidence, while 61 other cases were adjourned for further hearing. After many years of wearing the toga of invisibility, the overall head of the Mushin Lagos drug cartel, the 7-year-old Alhaji Sulaiman Jimo, popularly known as Temu, has been arrested by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at his enclave after an initial resistance from him and his horde of hoodlums. In the last 2 years, the NDLEA had intercepted large consignments of illicit drugs worth billions of naira owned by Temu, but has remained largely evasive, while a few encounters with him and his armed gangs in his Mushin enclave had resulted in gunfight. Some of the recent seizures of his shipments include a 14,524.8 kilograms of Ghana Loud, a strong strain of cannabis sativa smuggled into Lagos from Ghana in 2 trucks, and a J5 bus intercepted at Ojuelegba area of Lagos in the early hours of Sunday, 28 January 2024, amongst others. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marawa, retired, commended the officers and men of the Lagos State Command, Special Monitoring Task Force, and other formations tasked with the assignment of getting Temu arrested for their resilience, vigilance, and professionalism. The Federal High Court and State High Court sitting in Kaduna have convicted and sentenced 4 persons to various jail terms for internet fraud. This was disclosed in a statement released by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Wednesday. According to the EFCC Kaduna Zonal Command, they were prosecuted on 1 count separate charges bordering on impersonation, obtaining by pretense, and money laundering. The statement noted that the courts had decreed that the defendants had committed offences contrary to Sections 18 subsection 2D of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition 2022 and Section 308 of the Kaduna State Penal Code Law 2017 and punishable under Section 309 of the same law. President Bola Tinubu has ordered the approval of a 150,000 naira grant for each business owner in Jigawa State. This was revealed in a press release by the State House Abuja and shared by Vice President Kashim Shettima on his official X handle on Tuesday. According to the release, Shettima, while speaking at the launch of the AI Expertise Blockchain and Technology Training and Outsourcing Initiative in Dutse, said the grant was part of Nigeria's strategy for digital transformation and leadership in Africa. Shettima said that Nigeria was not just catching up with the rest of the world, but it's poised to overtake them in terms of economy and technology. He noted that the 150,000 naira grant is an outright grant that does not require beneficiaries to repay. Meanwhile, the president has assented the Northwest and Southeast Development Commission bills into law, thereby setting the stage for the establishment of the two interventionist agencies to address development challenges in the Northwest and Southeast parts of the country, respectively, following years of insecurity. And Deputy President of the Senate and sponsor of the Northwest Development Commission bill, Senator Jibril Barrow, disclosed that the president shall assent to the bill during a chat with journalists in Abuja on Tuesday night. Here's the report.
Expressing his happiness on the presidential assent to the bill, the Deputy President of the Senate, in a media chat with journalists, said the commission, when established, would help to drive development across the 7 states in the Northwest Zone.
This is something that, in fact, today is one of the happiest days of my life because I sponsored the bill, and it has been we've been praying that this commission should be established so as to help in developing the Northwest geopolitical zone. We are all aware of the importance of the zone to this country because it is a zone that is in the forefront in the production of food for the teeming population of this country.
The Deputy Senate President Barrow has commended President Tinubu for assenting the Northwest Development Commission bill, which is now an act of the National Assembly.
It's a testimony, it's a demonstration that he's a leader to trust. He's a leader that has love of his people in his heart. And what we need to do is to be patient. Rome was not built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. For someone to do this, you know that person has a leader, the president of the country, to look at the plight of his people.
Similarly, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Okezie-Kalu, has expressed what he called an extravagant gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for signing the Southeast Development Commission (SEDC) bill into law, thereby approving the creation of the Interventionist Commission. It will be recalled that the bill was sponsored by Kalu and all the lawmakers from the Southeast region in the House of Representatives. The bill sought to establish a commission that will be charged with the responsibility to receive and manage funds from allocation of the Federation account for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of roads, houses, and other infrastructural damage suffered by the region as a result of the effects of the civil war after 54 years. The commission will as well tackle the ecological problems and any other related environmental or developmental challenges in the Southeast states, which include Abia, Imo, Enugu, Anambra, and Ebonyi states.
Tomorrow's story. A federal lawmaker representing Abakaliki Izi Federal Constituency, Uguru Emmanuel, has called for restructuring of the country and the creation of additional states in the Southeast. He lamented that the Southeast has lost trillions as a result of the disparity in state and local government creation. He appealed that, like other geopolitical zones in Nigeria, which have a minimum of 6 states, the Southeast should be elevated. The federal lawmaker also called for the release of the incarcerated leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu.
President to use political mathematics administratively to release the detainees, especially those whose cases are centered on the marginalization of their people. When that happens, some of these things will go. What should be created? In Ebonyi State, we only have 171 wards, whereas others are talking about 1,000 and 3,000, and we're not the same Nigeria. So when something like this is done, it becomes better.
As Nigerians continue to face untold hardships due to the economic meltdown, children in internally displaced persons camp in Adamawa State are opting for frogs and lizards as meals for survival. This was confirmed by the leadership of the Damari IDP camp in Yola while expressing the unfortunate state of the IDPs as the nation grapples with rising food prices. Gibson Swadigo tells us more.
As dry as their temporary shelters are, so are their throats. This is the Damari Temporary Internal Displaced Persons Camp in Yola, Adamawa State capital, housing 167 households, mostly from Goza in Borno State. The effect of the nation's economic hardship is biting harder here, as families turn to wheat called fatted cassia, known as tafasa in the Hausa language. Lydia Zakaria, mother of four, is from Goza in Borno State. She is among the first settlers at this camp. For the past 2 weeks, her family has been surviving on fatted cassia as a result of a lack of funds and rising food prices.
Wannan miyan da nake cire ma tun safi na fita. Ina nima wannan shine yanzu na samu kadan nake tsina wannan.
This is what I have gotten since I left home early morning. We will boil and eat as usual. Our children are ill and malnourished due to hunger.
Kwana nawa wani kaman ni ma mba yone na ya fita mini akai kwance a gida ma na kai sati ma a kwance a gida ban da lafiya tsabarin yunwa.
This is the story of almost all the households in this camp. 56-year-old Jukule Ahmed has been the leader of the camp for 7 years. He narrates their ordeal and how children are hunting frogs and lizards as meals for survival.
Kware da gaske kwanakin bayani da kaina na je na ga yara a bayan camp sun kaka makwado daga dangare abunda a cikin al'adar mu ba mu taba ci ba. To sun kaka ma suna gasawa na je na kira wani nace ku duba abunda yara nace me yasa kuna yin haka wai suna jin yunwa.
Lately, I met our children roasting frogs and lizards to eat due to hunger. I know frogs are poisonous, and eating such animals is uncultured. In this camp, you have those who have hunger-induced sicknesses and are only waiting for what God will do with them. Malnourishment, cells of belongings, and hunger-induced illnesses are the order of the day at this camp. Humanitarian actor Maurice Gueranga called for decisive action against hunger in various IDP camps across the nation.
The IDPs have no means of livelihood. They cannot hire farms to cultivate farms, so they serve as day laborers. They go out in the morning looking for labor to plant or weed in people's farms. And if they are lucky to get something, then they are able to maybe buy gari or something to make porridge for the children.
The camp was established in 2014 at the height of the Boko Haram onslaught in the northeast states of Nigeria. Gibson So Adgo, Trust TV News, Yola.
The federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Education, has announced the slash in allowances of foreign scholars who are currently stranded in Russia, Morocco and Algeria, among others, by 12.7%. The ministry attributed the development to economic crisis. Nigerian students studying in Russia, Morocco, Algeria, China, Hungary and other countries on the federal government scholarship had lamented their unpaid stipends for 8 months running. The students are studying under the federal government's bilateral educational agreement scholarship. The BEA scholarship is for the purpose of education exchange between Nigeria and the partnering countries. The president of Dangote Industries Limited, Aliko Dangote, has been invited by President Bryce Nguema of Gabon to invest in cement and fertilizer production in the country. According to a statement on Tuesday by the media office of Dangote Group, the billionaire was invited to explore investment opportunities in cement and fertilizer at a time the Nigerian government is accusing him of plans to monopolize the oil sector in the country. According to the statement, Dangote had talks with Nguema and other top government officials during the visit. Dangote had underscored his company's dedication to fostering economic development in the continent. He emphasized that investing in Gabon's cement and fertilizer sectors aligns with Dangote Industries' strategic vision of expanding its footprint and supporting sustainable development across Africa. Dangote Group said the visit signifies a significant step towards deepening economic ties between Nigeria and Gabon. A Sierra Leone court has found 11 people guilty of treason and other offences following what authorities have called an attempted coup, with the leader sentenced to almost 200 years in prison. The judiciary spokesperson Moses Lamin Kamara, the man accused of leading the attack, Amadou Koita Makalu, was sentenced Monday to 182 years in prison on charges of treason, murder and shooting with intent to murder. Authorities at the time said they arrested around 80 suspects and a dozen were charged in January, including former President Ernest Bai Koroma, who later granted medical leave in November. Dozens of gunmen broke into the country's armory and into a prison where the majority of the more than 2,000 inmates were freed. The clashes left 18 security forces dead. Vice President Kamala Harris has opened up a marginal 2 percentage point lead over Republican Donald Trump after President Joe Biden ended his re-election campaign and passed the torch to her. That compares with a marginal 2-point deficit Biden faced against Trump in last week's poll before his Sunday exit from the race. The new poll conducted on Monday and Tuesday followed both the Republican National Convention, where Trump on Thursday formally accepted the nomination, and Biden's announcement on Sunday he was leaving the race and endorsing Harris. Harris, whose campaign says she has secured the Democratic nomination, led Trump 44 to 42% in the national poll, a difference within the 3 percentage point margin of error. And in sports, ahead of the 2024-2025 Nigeria Premier Football League season, Lobi Stars has decided to adopt Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi as their home ground. The Pride of Benue played their home game last season at the New Jos Stadium in Jos. Despite playing home away from home, Lobi Stars produced one of the best home results last season. As the original home ground in Makurdi is yet to be ready, the management of the club has decided to adopt Bauchi as their home ground. The club finished in 6th position last season. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule on Tuesday dissolved the Uthman Ahmed Ibrahim-led management of the state-owned men's football club Nasarawa United. Deputy Governor Emmanuel Agbado Akabe, on behalf of his principal, made the pronouncement after meeting with the Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, Jafaru Ango, Permanent Secretary Isaac Danladi, and SSA to Governor Abdullahi Sule on Sports Affairs, Hamza Ibrahim Moyi, alongside management members of the club at his temporary office in Lafia, the state capital. Nasarawa United picked promotion ticket from the Nigerian National League and will be among the 20 teams that will participate in the 2024-2025 Nigeria Premier Football League. And with that, we've come to the end of news updates at this hour. For more of our news, programs and documentaries, do also follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. Thanks for joining us.